RespectMyRegion.com, back again with another episode of the RMR Podcast. Today is our second podcast of the day. We putting in double time on a Monday, baby, because it's the North American Weed Tour, man. And one of our partners on this tour, AIRO Brands, is here today. I got my guy, Fred Barton, Senior Director of Sales at AIRO Brands. Today's episode brought to you guys by Seedless Media, the premier full-service marketing agency in cannabis. Fred, how you living today? Good morning, afternoon.
I'm living great, man. I can tell it's not your first round doing that. That was a beautiful intro there.
Come on, man.
Great, man. Another day.
110 episodes in, man. It's a blessing to be here. That's 2 years and a week. Come on,
there
baby.
It is. He's got it down to the day, friends.
Come on, man. It's a beautiful thing to be able to be joined by here today. AIRO Brands is a partner of ours on the North American Weed Tour. We kicked things off together on our tour in Michigan. You, the Senior Director of Sales, you handle Michigan and a variety of other states. Obviously, you have a team underneath you. However, you're the guy, and today's episode is to learn about you and showcase, your experience and how you got to where you are and what you do on the day-to-day. Yep. And then also we're touching base about the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And hey, everybody, before we get anything crazy, I'm just going to throw this out there because I can't wait anymore. The shit that I had from y'all in Michigan was better than what I had in Cali. So I'm just throwing shade right away. We starting off with these spiteful words. I'm saying it. I know you're biased. You can say it, whatever you'd like about Michigan and how much you love it because you're out there. But I, Joey JayPing, Respect My Region, believed that the rosin vapes and the live resin vapes that I had from AIRO Brands in Michigan, I believe that they were better than Cali. And I will also say that I believe the Massachusetts one were better too. And I think with that, to me, what this says, I come from Washington where AIRO started, Fred. I come from Washington where AIRO was first state, baby. And I loved it, man. I loved the tech, the battery. I love the experience, the whole nine. I love everything about it. But what I love the most now that you guys have expanded is that I can trust your partner Curation every time I leave this state. I don't need to vape AIRO Brands in California because that's not the state for me where I'm vaping. I got think about all these people from here that already exist, right? Think about them already. If I want to buy Jetty, I go buy Jetty from Jetty. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And it's not to hate on AIRO, but you guys are curators. You guys are partnering with the elite hash and live resin creators across the country. And you guys in Michigan are fucking killing it, Fred. So I'm excited. I
love that, man. I love that. And a lot of what I want to kind of bring some eyes to around this podcast today is just that, AIRO is very well known for its strain and artisan series, which is kind of, not necessarily geared towards the connoisseur level consumer, which I would consider myself. And I know you very much are that.
The industry is not the customer, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
That's the reality.
Man. And so, we pride ourselves on having a little bit of something for everybody. But what I've been most recently excited about over the last couple of years is our expansion on the resin and rosin side.
Yes.
And I think we've been doing an incredible job of that. Huge shout out to our Director of Procurement and Sourcing, Corey Adams. He's been doing an awesome job on that front. I'm really excited to talk about all that. And I'm really excited that you love everything that you've tried, man.
Bruh, I will go all the way back to my love of AIRO Brands and Harmony Farms in Washington with distillate and terps. Yeah. I don't know if they were fun, fruity flavored terps or if they were strained. It didn't matter. At the time, this hardware, this battery, the magnetic snap-in doesn't come out.
Yeah.
Was so far ahead of the game at the time that wasn't ready for it. And now the hardware, the technology, the pod meets cartridge tech, Fred, those oils you're talking about are great in this product, man. It's so amazing. The terps are flowing. And so what I'm going to do, bro, before we get into your career and the states and these questions that are all a part of this episode, bro, I'm going to have to hit this. I got to hit a blinker with you, bro. We're going to do it.
Cheers, baby. Cheers.
Hey, cheers, my friend.
This is that peachy rosin in here right now, and I'll talk about it later. But you see how much is left in that cartridge? Flavors just like on the first hit, baby.
I love it, dude. I absolutely love it, man. This device, incredible. This particular one that I have here is the AIRO Sport. I love the blue one. I just got some Jordans that are blue and had this exact shade.
There it is.
Now officially I'm accessorizing. Y'all see, I wore this blue crew neck today because look how fire I look supporting women and ripping this AIRO, man.
It's a
vibe. Now,
I never thought that I would really love the accessorizing aspect of it. I'm not too big into that in most parts of my life, but I do find myself when I find the right color combo from cartridge to battery, it's just a beautiful feeling, man.
dude, I actually have another one here right now. I've got the Pro, and this is the
There it is.
Sport, right? So I actually really enjoy both one. I like the ability to accessorize in the colors because I wear a lot of black, man. I don't know if you see this. I'm a big Raiders fan
Same,
over here.
same.
So I was a real big fan of like it used to be like this color, like this
Yep.
metal gray, right? And I liked that because it could be discreet. It didn't look like anything. It looked like the standard nicotine vapes at that time.
Yep.
We're talking
Yep.
2016, 2017, bro. You know what I'm saying? There
100%.
wasn't custom colors and stuff back then. But now we've got white, we've got blue. I think I saw a green one.
Yep.
There's a lot of really cool stuff going on. I'm just gonna transition the pod cartridge over here to this other battery and just give it a rip because we can.
Mm-hmm. Because we can. I love that.
Now, before we get too crazy and I get super high, Fred, I want you to talk to me a little bit about how you got into cannabis. You can touch on that first time you smoked or vaped or however that looks, but I'm talking about how you got into cannabis because for you to become the senior director of a brand, and I want to say 26 states, two
Yep.
countries, probably I think there's a province in there too or something, or like a
Puerto
territory or
Rico.
something. Yeah, there's a territory in there. And so talk to me about how you got into cannabis and ultimately the story about how you became the senior director of sales, brother.
Absolutely, man. So cannabis has been a huge part of my life forever since I mean, I think I smoked for my first time maybe 13, 14. Super not encouraging that, too young. But it's been a big part of my life forever, just not, professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 30 now. I graduated college in 2016, and I had the typical, soul sucking bullshit sales jobs fresh out of college. And I hated it. And I felt myself suppressing what I think are all the coolest parts about myself to try to fit the mold that I think this guy up here wants me to be, and I don't even think that guy's cool. So I'm finding myself feeling like I'm kind of selling my soul to sell bullshit IT services, that I don't care about, and I'm reading a script. And throughout all of this, cannabis was still a big part of my life. And I knew I didn't want to just sit in a cubicle and not enjoy what I do for my whole life. And then I hurt myself pretty bad. I fell
Oh no.
and I tore my AC joint. I misplaced a
Ooh.
couple ribs. I really screwed myself up, and I got some bad back pain as a result of that. So this was back when it was still difficult to get your medical card in Illinois. That's where I'm based out of. I live in Chicago.
Okay.
Um, so all of these issues allowed me to go get my medical card back in 2017 or
Yeah,
18.
17, 18 was that time with Illinois going bigger on medical.
Yeah, right around there. And so that caused me to be spending more time in dispensaries and seeing, oh shit, this is something that I love. And here are people, creating a career out of it. So I said to myself, I don't care if I need to, take a pay cut and make $5 an hour, trim and plant somewhere, whatever it is, whatever aspect. I knew that I was going to try to get involved in cannabis, and I made some connections. Big shout out to Ann Kiefner. She was one of the initial connections I made. She was with our partner company Ascend in Illinois at the time, and AIRO was in touch with Ascend to try to launch out there. So I came on in 2019 as a brand ambassador. I was the only
Wow.
person in Illinois for AIRO, and was able to assist in building Illinois to one of our top markets in the state. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. We needed somebody to go out into Missouri. That was the second state I launched or assisted in launching. Have an awesome partner out there named Curating. So went out, helped launch Missouri, and then it's kind of just continued to snowball from there. I've been able to hire nice teams in each of the states I oversee. I've now had involvement in 9 states across the
Wow.
Midwest and the East Coast. Really proud of it.
So what are the states that you specifically oversee, Fred?
So I've taken a step back recently from the East Coast to really focus a lot more on the Midwest, but the states under my belt are Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, Ohio, very soon to be Mississippi. We're working on launching with our partner Mockingbird out there. And then on the East Coast, it's Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, soon to be launching in Connecticut out there as well. So a little bit
Wow.
of everything. And it's been great to just, I mean, every single market in cannabis, as you know, is might as well be a different country. So
Dude,
it's been great to form relationships and learn all the ins and outs from these other
just
states.
for a lot of people, they grow up in an area, middle school, high school, family stuff, moving if they're lucky to move, or maybe it's a traumatic experience because families split apart and people move, right?
Yeah,
Whatever reason. But people like us have been blessed because cannabis takes us places. Cannabis,
absolutely, man.
cannabis not only helps people, but it also helps us do very cool things. Sometimes we enjoy it, sometimes we're working, sometimes we're grinding so hard. But I tell you what, man, working in cannabis, these 14-hour days, these 18-hour days, MJ Biz, these trade
Yeah.
shows, traveling, visiting tours and content and all this stuff. God damn it, man. All it takes for you to not feel tired anymore is one person really just appreciating that stuff and just
All
thanking you.
day, man. And
It's
dude, we
so
have
crazy.
so much to appreciate. I mean, people have been trying to get this industry for the forefront forever and sacrificing their own lives in order to do so. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to always feel appreciative for that. But yeah, man, I know how bad it was when I was doing things that I hated. And cannabis isn't always easy, as anybody involved knows.
We know full well, man. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Matt, and
it's
like
a
you said,
hustle for
different countries
sure.
for all those states, right? It's like different rules, different laws,
Oh,
different
yeah.
compliance. I'm not envious of whoever your compliance manager is. That's a rough one.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
It's because
It's
people
tough.
like you and I, like I'm gonna put you on the team. If I'm working underneath you and I'm managing accounts in those states you're overseeing, right? It's like how many requests do you get? How many problems potentially arise? How many
Yeah.
opportunities potentially arise? That compliance person is sifting through all this stuff, trying to figure out and formulate plans and keep things
Yeah.
in check. And that's just the planning and preparation part, let alone what happens in real life that person can't control.
Yeah, and the unplanned curveballs, which are always plentiful. I mean,
Cannabis,
I could
baby.
list off 20 that we're dealing
Come
with right
on,
now.
man. Come
It's
on,
it's a
man.
constant scramble making it work, but we have an awesome team, and I wouldn't rather do it with anybody else, and I wouldn't rather be involved in any other industry. It's the best. I'm a lifer over here. I don't
I love
know,
that.
5, 10 years. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but it's going to be involving cannabis for
More
damn
of this,
sure.
that's for sure. And that kind of leads me to the next point is, we talk about the future, but we're living in this present. What's, the current state of AIRO is what we were saying, right? 27 plus places, more places coming online, more states, I would assume
Yeah.
countries with other countries coming online, right? There's an opportunity here for AIRO to become one of the largest, if not the largest, cannabis centric vape brand and company in the world at this
Yeah,
point.
absolutely, man. And it's really exciting.
When people ask you about what's going on with, this conversation is catered to Michigan, so we'll dial it in there. What's the current state of cannabis affairs in Michigan in regards to AIRO? What are you guys working on? How many stores? Can you at least touch on some of those areas and just, for the general Michigan customer, lay down the summary there for us.
Absolutely, man. So in Michigan, as we touched on a little bit before, we're focusing a lot on our rosin offerings. It's a very educated market and a very developed market. They've been around for a while, and so we're really trying to target the connoisseur grade consumers out there with some of our rosin offerings. We also offer, our strain series and our artisan series, which is what all of our consumers know from all of our markets. And we also have just recently launched our Aero X 1 gram disposable out there. We're working on the rosin capabilities on that now, so we don't have any of that. That's our distillate offerings in the Aero X. But yeah, we're in 42 different dispensaries around the state, always working on increasing that number. And, we just relaunched with a new partner, Eureka, out there. And timelines are tough. I don't know, maybe we'll call it 8 months ago. And they've been really great, allowed us to get our product out there at a cheaper price point. Michigan is a very, very, very difficult market to
Very price
compete with
driven
on
market
the
there.
price side.
Lots of cannabis inputs in excess amounts.
Yes. Just like it applies in any aspect of life, oftentimes you get what you pay for. When you're buying 10, 12, 15 cartridges for $100, which there are deals that exist like that out there, the fail rate is always going to be reflective of the price you're paying.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really cheap out there for sure.
I was there and I saw $5 carts and $6 carts
It's crazy, man. It's a
for
great
sale.
consumers market for sure. One of the best consumers markets in the country. You got a lot of things to choose from.
God, and
Very
that
cheap.
rosin, man, that peachy hash. Can you? I
Yeah.
know this episode's about you, brother. Can you please tell me about peachy hash and how that ended up being such a magical thing? Because the reality, you said this before we started. Yo, bro, I saw your Chocolate review, bruh. On the list of 500 strains, don't nobody care about Chocolate,
Nope,
and
100%.
that
Yeah,
shit
it's
was
not hype
that
right now.
good. That
Hmm.
now all of a sudden, I'm gonna be talking Chocolate for 5 years.
Yeah,
So
it's
please,
incredible, man.
who is this peachy hash? Who found them? How did this beautiful marriage come about with these products, man? Because oh my god, that was
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's a cool story actually. So I touched on our partner Curator in Missouri.
mm-hmm.
Super heady group, focused on hash first. The exact guys you want to be buying your hash from, and they have a really great network. And I was at an event out in Missouri, and I met Tim Trojan, one of the founders of Peachy, who's an awesome guy. And I just let them know, we look to partner with different rosin producers in these markets that we're selling rosin in, and they had an incredible reputation, and I've heard wonderful things about them. So I connected with this guy, and we were able to agree on some sourcing agreements there. And I can't talk too much about their origin story and all of that, but they're single source hash makers. That's almost all they focus on. Absolutely incredible at what they do. Their product is very sought after. They do a couple drops every month, and they're gone
Amazing.
as soon as they launch. So we currently have 3 offerings through Peachy, and we're constantly going to be adding everything new. And that is the Chocolate cross with Red Hot 11. That's our sativa that you were
Yep.
talking about here.
Yep.
We also have our Grease Bucket, which is garlic cookies crossed with Banana Punch.
Oh man.
And then we have our Gary Payton, which is the Y crossed with Snowman.
Yep.
And
That's an
I'm
exotic.
biased.
That's a Cookies Fam strain.
There you
That's that
go.
doughy candy gas. That's for all the
Yeah,
people that are the hype kids like us. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, man. Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need that Gary Payton. Actually, you know what? Big shout out to Gary Payton, man. I just chopped it up with him, repping Seattle 206. Just had to throw it out
No
there, man.
way, man. That's
Washington
awesome.
roots, man. Come on, baby. We love that. We
That's
love that.
awesome, dude.
You guys could
Yeah.
have
So
gone
I
with
gotta
any
I gotta
candy
get
gas
you some
strain you
more of
wanted,
those
and you guys went with Gary
offerings.
Payton. Like that's incredible.
It really is incredible, man. And I gotta get you some more of those offerings so you can try the whole lineup there. But I'm biased, obviously, but we have the best hardware. I mean, I touched on it earlier, but one of the biggest issues you see with rosin and some of the best value I think we're bringing to all the markets that we offer rosin in is almost all rosin vape offerings are going to be half gram. And that's just because the challenge of, the different viscosity of rosin, it's really difficult to run all of that through one cartridge and not experience incredible flavor degradation throughout it. You're not going to be getting the same terpy,
The
delicious look.
flavor
It's really
worsens over time.
drastically. And so therefore almost everybody goes the half gram route, and that's still an issue on the half gram route. And this is our full gram rosin pod. You can still see the clarity is beautiful, you know, like 75% of the way gone, and it's just incredible. You don't have to baby them, you can pass them around, and it's the experience you want. When you get something, you want to just be able to grab it and attack it and hit it as hard as you want. And with these you can absolutely do that, and you're not ruining the flavor every single time you do. So we really got something special with these, and shout out to Peachy for the collaboration.
So obviously we hear this word pod, and
Yeah,
then obviously we talked about this a little offline again. We talk this is pod, but it's a cartridge body, right?
yeah,
And so can you talk to me a little bit about what you guys have created? We'll start with the pod cartridge tech, and then can
yeah,
you walk me through what happens with the hardware? Because people are used to just classic 510 thread batteries,
yeah,
which is your general push button, or maybe just draw to start, right? Just plug it the fuck in and nothing crazy, right?
yeah.
Everyone's seen this. They sell these at gas stations now, right? But the reality is there's a couple things. This thing really rolls, and it rolls off of everything. It can break the
Yeah.
cart. It puts the mouthpiece in dirty areas. And on it, and one of the other key things is that the temperature varies. It's not just like at the temperature, it like goes up and then
Yeah.
goes past it and then goes back down. And as it has less power, it's less effective. And these things are pretty volatile, 510 thread batteries.
Incredibly volatile.
Yeah.
And They also have those buttons on there. They can be firing in your pocket.
Oh,
So
dude, I've been at so many concerts. I've had the 5 turned off, right?
yeah,
And somehow it's turned back on, and then all of a sudden my pocket's hella hot, and I smell weed coming up through my pocket. It's like I'm pissed because it's burning my shit, it's burning my leg, and then I'm wasting my expensive ass oil. You know what I'm
yeah. And
saying?
then you try to hit it again, and it's all burnt because it's
Oh,
just
it
been getting
tastes
cooked.
terrible if it was nice oil
Yeah,
after that, right? Talk me
yeah.
through the battery and this. What makes these special, Fred?
Absolutely, man. So you just highlighted a lot of the issues that you see with a typical 510 threaded cartridge. We have our pods and our batteries, and we just really aim to improve the whole cartridge experience, right? Whether it's from an ease of use standpoint, it's easy as hell. You pop it in. There's no button. There's
Yeah,
no
no
variable
twisting it
voltage.
in.
No screwing it. Just pops in and out, and it's in there. It's not going anywhere. Um, so from an ease of use standpoint, we want to cater this to everybody.
I'm gonna hurt
And
myself.
I don't care who you are, this is easy to use. You don't need to plug it into your computer and analyze the voltage. You don't need to change any variable voltage or
Yeah, there's
wattage.
no buttons or variable voltage.
None of that.
It's nothing. This is a draw activation.
Yeah,
But
so that
what's
allows
the key
us.
feature that freaks everybody out, but also gets everybody excited?
Absolutely. And what he's
Come
talking about
on.
there is one of the cool things when you actually inhale this, it vibrates. So you have a physical response knowing when your hit starts and when your hit stops. It allows you to really kind of mentally dose that out. It also really assists in keeping everything saturated. One of our selling points is you can get through every drop of oil in that cartridge. So it does a good job of making sure nothing's staying up here that needs to be down here. Um, and another thing is when you're hitting a 510 threaded cartridge, typically the battery indicator's on the bottom side. So you're going to be hitting it. You're going to be looking for that light. You're really not sure if it's hitting or not. So with this, when it's low on battery, it's actually going to vibrate at you again at the end to indicate that it's 30% left, 20% left, and 10% left. It's going to give you 1 to 3 pulsations there. So you're going to get a physical reminder, hey, it's time to go charge this. But
Huge.
really just like also we wanted to have the consistency. If you go and get a phenomenal rosin cartridge, but then you put it on this 510 threaded battery and it's not running at the correct voltage, then you're
The
burning
user
it.
error just ruined your $70 gram.
Yeah, 100%. So all those reasons, and it really, in my eyes, it created the most consistent and high quality. I think the vape realm is one that you need the most reliability and consistency on. You're bringing these things, your medicine on your weekend trips or whatever it is. You don't want to have to worry about it snapping in your pocket. You can beat the hell out of these things, since your cartridge is in there, since your pod's in there. It's nice and hidden. It's not going to roll off the tables.
Yeah, at
And
the
to your
end, when
point
you
earlier,
twist
it's
on the end
discreet.
of these batteries, right? That glass cartridge, right?
Yeah.
This part of it is always exposed, just like this, right?
Yeah.
And so having that part hidden, definitely. I've had live resin in glass in the ceramic stuff shatter in my pockets,
Yeah.
literally.
100%. And I
I've
don't care
actually
how
slid my
careful you
hand in my
are.
pocket and been cut before by cartridge glass, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care how careful you are. If you're using a typical battery, it's going to break or you're going to drop it or whatever it is. And it hurts, these things aren't cheap. You want to
Yeah.
have the know that your product that you purchased is going to work as advertised. And I think that's one of our best selling points. Out of over 12 million cartridges sold, our fail rate is less than 0.1%. Shout out to Matt Leapart on our quality control team. The guy's incredible at what he does. And we're just constantly striving to make advancements to the hardware and the device to really ensure that we stay in that number one spot.
I think that's really important, man. Innovation is the present, past, and future, and it
Yep.
will always remain to be so. And one thing that's really exciting that I hope to see in the future is I'd like to see these develop profiles for these strains and profiles so I can have content attached to this, right? I'd like to be able to
Yep.
tap my phone because it's got something in it on whatever and be able to have that pod information similar to the old pod ID that PAX used to have with their partners. And so, because when you're curating and partners, you're a platform and you guys are a
Yep.
vehicle directly to get the rosin and these artists, these extractors, these farmers, to get their art right in the hands of us and right in the lungs.
Yep.
These are consumables, man. This is inhalables, man. This is the vape. the vape is the second or third biggest category in every state.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's growing, and there's more and more entering it. And so, well, I remember going back to 2017 and 2016, my first early days in Washington. And I want to say this launched in 17 or 18, but I remember being a big fan of it back then. And that was literally with distillate and botanical terps and
Yeah.
and one farm partner, probably with just probably providing trim at that point. Right.
Yeah.
And I remembered it then. My mom was a fan. She was always so excited to get these and to get the different things. And we were also big PAX Pod fans. And the cool thing about you guys is you guys have been able to find a way to not just stay relevant, but grow, succeed, expand, reinvest, and continue doubling down with community. With you being, again, being senior director of sales, how important is community to you specifically? And, obviously, how does that translate with AIRO and in the states that you oversee and operate in?
Yeah, absolutely. And are you talking more about, internal community? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
No, buying the buyers relationships, these bud tenders, AIRO being in events, right? We just worked with you guys at Hall of Flowers at a big party, right? What kinds of things are you guys involved with, and how do you really build relationships and build community with your partners there in Michigan?
Absolutely, man. And that it's really everything. It's what I attribute most of my, ability to grow within is my ability to form strong relationships. And, we have teams that are really like the front of our business. Like I can't even, I help organize and coordinate things with these teams, but I can't even take the credit. It's really all on them. They are in different dispensaries every single day, organizing events, running vendor days, and really just engaging with the community, whether that's the bud tenders or the consumers. And that's how people learn about our product. I guarantee anybody listening to this podcast, the way that you found out about this product, if you're a consumer of ours, is through stepping into a dispensary or going to an event and hearing one of our awesome people talk about the product and likely offer you a free battery if you bought a pod. So really it's one of our biggest focuses. So in Michigan specifically, we have a whole team, and they are just, their office is their car. They are out in the field evangelizing, talking to consumers, talking to purchasers, just spreading the word about the product and forming meaningful relationships throughout, which is a beautiful part of this industry. Everybody has something in common. There's nobody here that doesn't at least have something in common.
A lot of brands, a lot of people, we invest a lot of time and energy into those promotions and BOGOs and these events and trying to give back to the customers and just ultimately accessibility, inclusivity, right?
Yep.
And when you're trying to grow in a new area or grow in general, the phase of the company is grow, grow, grow.
Yeah.
At what cost? Never relationships.
For sure that.
Right?
For sure that. Yeah.
So the next, as we transition to the power of these relationships, right? A big part about you guys being the vehicle, being the platform, being the hardware and the pod, right? The cartridge for the oil, the actual holster for it in a way. I want to talk about the proprietary technology that you guys have and the custom hardware. We've already touched on the general things that makes a difference, but let's really break this down, right? Let's show the people real quick. Let's do a little anatomy here. We have a USB, micro USB style charger here. And one of my favorite things about this is actually, do you guys see how there's straight edges?
Yeah.
Fred, why is that?
So, I mean, part of it's just the design aspect, but one of the biggest benefits of it is it's not
Not gonna
rolling off
roll.
a table, right? You sit down and there's any slope to any table, and then 30 seconds later you hear a little crash.
Yeah, that's the most annoying thing when you're working is to have your
It's
vape
the
keep falling off.
worst. It's the worst.
So distracting.
So yeah, that's a good example of just some of the details that we focus on. Everything is
Functional
considered.
details.
Functional details, yeah. Even the vibration thing, like a lot of people don't understand the actual functionality behind it, and they think it's kind of just a little gimmicky and whatever. And while there is an aspect to it that's just, it's cool that it vibrates, it's also functional as well.
I
When it
never
starts and
once
stops.
thought it was gimmicky. I've honestly never heard that before, to be real with you. But I
Good.
have come across people that just didn't like it because it was vibrating on their mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't. There's obviously to each their own on whether you like it or whether you don't from the feel in your mouth perspective. But it is a means of communication between technology and human with the purpose of helping improve the efficacy of understanding your dosing. This is
Yep.
about giving you a measuring tool. This is about
Yep.
understanding, I just ripped it this long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it vibrated for 5, so you know it ripped, right?
Yep.
And being able to say, all right, I feel like this. Boom.
Yeah.
10 seconds. Same thing, do it like this. Oh, it's not ripping? Cool. The dose, or it's skipping, there's vibrations skipping through it. All right. Well, now it's communicating something else. I much more prefer that to the lighting button model.
For sure.
And I much more prefer that to even like the inhalable, like the vapes like this, where you can just breathe in and there's no button. I much so prefer that over as well, because those vapes, I feel like they just got no depth to them. I feel like those hardware has no depth. And when I say that, I mean like it feels cheap. They always look cheap. There's no real weight to them. And I feel like they always come kind of 3/4 dead. Like,
yeah, 100%. And the other thing with those is you never know really just how hard they're going to be hitting, right? Like sometimes you're getting punched in the throat.
if it's
And
fully
sometimes you're
charged,
a
it'll
little
hit full
disappointed.
power. If it's
For
half
sure.
charged, it doesn't hit full power.
And that's one of the main things we focus on here is just vapor production, right? Like there's something to when you hit something and it hits really hard, there's a very satisfying aspect to that. And so you'll notice on some of our marketing 3 times the vapor. We actually have a device that analyzes vapor output, and we put all competitor devices through there. And we're always trying to stay around that 3 times the vapor production level you see, and that's one of our live resin cartridges. One of the adjustments we made to that is we sacrificed a little bit of the vapor output in order to preserve the terpenes a little bit better. So that's not even close to our hardest hitting offering, and you see how it's hitting. So that's
So
an
are
example
there
of
different
some of what we
pods
do.
for the different oils then?
There are, absolutely, yes, and I wanted to touch on that. So
So it's not the same from pod to pod, oil to
very
oil.
much so not. Yeah, and that's one
Oh,
of the
I didn't
challenges
know
we had
this,
there.
Fred. This is
Yeah.
cool. I just got a much bigger fan. Okay, so
So
this
if you
live
see,
resin
that's the
pod is
live
different than the
resin.
rosin.
That's the live resin right there. So you're gonna have like a darker, almost gunmetal base. You see on the rosin, it's the golden base, and then on the distillate offerings, it's gonna be the silver base. And those are all 3 different series of pods. Yep. And the challenge there was we have one battery that needs to, we can't have
It needs
different
to
batteries for our
speak.
resin
It
and
needs to
rosin.
speak and communicate with
Absolutely.
all these different oil types effectively.
Yes. So without going into too much detail, because a lot of the, what makes us special is proprietary info, but with those, we sacrifice a little bit of the vapor output to kind of enhance the flavor side of things. So
Or
they're not going to hit
honor the
nearly
flavor.
as hard. Yes, 100%. A
Yes.
lot of it.
Maintaining and honoring the actual flavor of what it should be.
Yeah.
If you were taking it to another level, you'd be adding something to it, but you're really just making sure that this is at the right temperature and hopefully the right viscosity as it comes through wherever it comes through.
Yeah,
And then
and it doesn't even need to be hopeful on that side because we have all our quality checks. A lot of questions I get is how do you make sure that
I
your
say hopeful because I
distillate
don't know the
process is
science.
straight? Say it again.
I say hopeful because I don't know the science. I don't know how the tubes
Yeah,
and
100%.
like the pipes and all this all connect through this. I just know that at some point the oil has to be viscous enough to go through these things.
Yeah,
And then there's a heating element where it speaks, and if wherever that heating element and the oil connect, that has to be communicated and engaging at the right temperatures.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have very thorough quality control processes where we're analyzing, and before we decide to go with any strain or whatever we're going to go with, we're putting that into our cartridges. We're making sure that it's communicating correctly, it's the correct viscosity and all of that. So that's kind of one of the ways that we've been able to innovate and ensure that everything stays simple while still providing that best experience.
Now, I obviously have the packaging here somewhere. I don't remember. Let's just read through the device specifications real quick. Arctic Aero Pro vaporizer, right? Bam.
Yeah.
Micro USB charger. We talked about that. In this box, there's a user guide. The device specification 6082-T6 aluminum alloy body. So it's an aluminum alloy. That's exciting. 320 mAh Li ion battery with a 9.5 watt power output. A 1 year warranty is included, Fred. That's exciting. So if you buy
100%.
this, if you're given this and you have a receipt, right? Stick your receipt in this so there was a date. That way there's a date attached to it, right? And they can reach out to you guys and get a new
Yeah, and it's
battery.
really even a lot more simple than that. Obviously that's what it says there, but we stand behind the quality of our product. One of the biggest issues is batteries break and you need to go get new ones. So that really is not an issue with our product, but if it
Okay.
ever is, we stand behind it to the point of saying you really never need to buy another one as long as you don't lose it. And it's not some mail-in rebate that we deliberately make way too hard for anybody to want to actually deal
Yeah.
with.
The
If you
accessibility of mailing something in like that.
No, no, nobody's going to do it, right? And that's what
Yeah.
these companies do. They'll say we have a rebate, but then they'll make you jump through 30 hurdles to
Everyone's
get
always
there.
worried like people are going to take advantage by the thousands. It's like, bro, like, no. They're trying to buy thousands of pods. They're not trying to buy thousands of
Exactly, man.
batteries.
Exactly. So if you ever have any issues with your battery, you bring it to the dispensary you bought it at, and you
Amazing.
you bring it back. They give you a new one, no questions asked, and
Wow.
you're good to go. Yeah,
That's powerful, man. That kind of customer service there is powerful. That level of communication between you and the retail is important, right? That's what this is all about, really. Being able
100%.
to just solve problems for these customers and provide them the highest product as consistently as and as often as possible. Now, we have already touched a little bit on your guys' partners for Michigan. Obviously, you told us a story about that one. For brands, extraction partners, potential people in the future that want to maybe work with you guys that are in love with the hardware, in love with the experience. What do you guys really look for when you're creating these partners for your proprietary, for these pods, for these carts, for the batteries? Like, who do you look for generally? Obviously, Peachy has ended up being some of the best of the best, but what do you guys really look for in those areas?
Yeah, so in terms of a new state, if we're looking to launch into a new state, we're analyzing who we're going to partner with out there. A lot of what we look at is reputation in the state. Obviously, first, quality of the products they're producing. We need to make sure it's meeting our standards. How widely is their product that they're selling now distributed? Because that obviously makes our life easier when there's
Mm-hmm.
existing relationships with current retailers. And then the culture fit as well. We like to make sure that we like and support and can get behind what these groups that we're looking to partner with are doing. So those are some of the main things. And just give me 1 second here.
There we go. Hey, this is a good time for you guys to actually check out this packaging real quick. I was just looking at it a second ago. I'm vaping on this live resin vape, right? This Platinum OG live resin vape. And they actually put the terpenes on the packaging, right? And so one of my favorite parts about this is that they don't unfortunately don't list all the terps on there, but the fact that they put 2.8% terpenes just on this, it gives you a good measuring point to kind of to understand, like, look, this is how good this weed was from a flavor standpoint. This is what the measurable is. I want to come back to that. I want to get that again. I only want OGs that are above 2%, or maybe I only want sour weed that's below this or something. It
Yeah,
just, the more data we put on these packages becomes more powerful for the customer experience at the end of the day. And I really enjoy that about what you guys have here. Not only does each strain have custom art and like these the farm and partner information, but back here you've got this QR code capabilities to probably to the COA, I would imagine, and
yeah.
then again, terpene score. That's dope, bro. That's super awesome. We're gonna keep pushing forward, man. We're gonna keep pushing forward. Obviously, you guys are a consumer centric brand. Vapes are a big category in the space, right? At retailers, they're always doing sales. There's like Vape Wednesdays and, Terpy. I've heard all the different kinds of promo days every day, right? We've seen
Yeah,
it all.
absolutely.
When it comes to the customer journey, what do you want customers to know about AIRO Brands and your guys' pod technology and, all of the things that make you guys wonderful? What do you want them to know about your brand if they've not heard about you guys before?
Yeah, I just want them to know that all of our decisions are made with the consumer in mind. We're looking to make this experience of vaping the best that it can possibly be. And so while we're almost never the cheapest offering out there, our demographic is typically the people that have the extra $5 or $10 that they want to invest in making sure they have the best product available. So what I want to know is you're purchasing exactly what you would hope that you're purchasing, something that's going to work every single time, something that's not going to break in your pocket, something you can be excited to utilize, and confident in the quality behind. That's almost everything I talked about is quality focused here,
Yeah.
whether that's the quality of the product going in or the quality of the hardware that we're constantly ever making better. That's
How
kind of
exciting,
what I
man.
want people to think. Yeah.
I mean, those are very important elements. And I think it's been incredibly exciting to learn from you today some of the more intricacies of the hardware, some of the more
Yeah.
intricacies of the pod system, whether it's from the battery, which is incredibly, I mean, again, I go back, I fucking love this blue one, man. I
Yeah.
love it. And it was funny. It was to the point where I liked those Michigan vapes so much, I was ripping them both at the same time, man. I was like double fisting AIRO vapes, man. It was great, dude.
And
We
I
do
don't know if
not
you noticed,
encourage
but with the magnetic
overconsumption.
aspect, you can kind of click them together. It's not something we
Oh
really
yeah, that was my
advertise,
favorite
but
part. I
you can
forgot
kind of
about
click them
that.
together.
Yo, that's the
Yeah.
secret. That's like the In-N-Out secret menu, bro. That was the secret. That's the secret. That's the secret crazy part about Arrow is that you could
Yeah,
stick like four of these things together real quick and just get out
you
of control.
can.
Now, again, we're not encouraging overconsumption, but if you're like me and feeling spicy, oh
Yes,
my
yes.
god. Now, Fred,
Be
I
careful
just
if you do
realized.
that. It hits hard,
Oh,
friend. It
dude, yeah,
hits
especially
hard.
with that peachy hash, man, and that live resin, it was great.
Yes.
It was crazy. I was vaping weed from Michigan and Mass and Cali from AIRO Brands all at the
That's
same
awesome,
time.
man.
It was crazy, man. But hey, I realized we forgot to put this down for the episode, so I want to make sure we touch on this again. Big shout out to the homie Annie Davis for bringing us together. The homie
Annie.
Abraham for keep getting us pushing along on this project. The homegirl Jade for the article we working on. Fred, I remember hearing you guys have another brand launching and
Hmm.
another product line launching, and it's
Yes.
not in the vape space.
It is not, and we are very excited about it, man. So I'm glad you brought that up. I was looking for a opportunity. So the next big project we're focused on is Oriya. It's our edible
Yes.
line, and we see a very saturated edible space in a lot of the states that we operate in. And this was very much not a let's hurry up and spit out an edible product that so we can kind of help meet some of this demand and fill this void type scenario. This is a project we've been working on for many years. And so what we're launching with is pretty impressive. We analyzed the most important selling points on edibles, whether it's taste and texture or fast acting effects or price point, gluten free, minor
There's certain things that
cannabinoids.
it's like you kind of just have to have these days.
For sure, for sure. At least to stand out in this difficult and saturated space. So we really worked to check off as many boxes as possible, when we were determining how to launch this line. So our Oriya offering, it's actually curated after our best-selling AIRO line, which is our Artisan series, which is kind of our more proprietary, fruit-forward, kind of candy-oriented blends. For example, our Black Mamba is a blackberry citrus flavor. That's one of our national bestsellers across the board.
Amazing.
So we worked to recreate these flavors that our consumers know so well while checking off all of the important boxes. So, we utilize live resin to ensure that it's a more dense, long-lasting high. We utilize, and we'll stay away from all the science to scare people away here, but we utilize lipid encapsulation to ensure that the body really can kind of absorb these in the quickest way possible.
Come on, baby.
5
They're
to
not ready for
15
lipid
minutes.
encapsulation. They're not ready for those kinds of things, but I am. I'm here for it. Hey, for you motherfuckers that don't know what he's talking about, they're talking about wrapping the THC, wrapping the live resin and encapsulating it so it delivers into your body easier and gets you higher for longer because your liver and other things, if it has direct access to it, it will metabolize it and you will not get it all.
Yeah, you know the drill. Yeah.
Come
So
on,
we
baby.
utilize that to really ensure the fast acting and longevity of it. We introduce higher concentrations of specific terpenes to help maximize the effects there, but also to kind of recreate the flavors that I was explaining before.
Mm-hmm.
I find that we do use live resin and it's incredible, but I find that not all consumers want a very weed first edible.
Yep.
And it very much, you do taste the live resin thoroughly in there, but we really kind of allow those things to communicate in a way to really recreate our artisan series, like I said.
The
And then
customer
we
who wants
also
the
have,
cheapest edible, man, with not being able to taste it and the ingredients that don't cost as much, they can have that. But
for sure, for
the
sure.
rest of us want strain specific experiences. We don't want a ton of sugar. We want healthier options at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
natural.
Yeah.
One of the cool parts about Oriya is it's all natural flavorings going into there. So you'll even notice, like on a batch of Midnight Moon, this one might be slightly lighter than this one, right? Because all blueberries aren't going to be the same there. So,
Yeah.
there's even very, very basic inconsistencies you can see in the color there
Because
that
it's
really
food.
highlights. Exactly, because
And
it's
it's
food.
not necessarily commercial food.
100%, man. And then we also utilize higher concentrations of specific minor cannabinoids like CBC, CBN for some of
Let's
those
go.
targeted effects.
Let's
So
go.
Oriya does a good job of factoring in all of these selling points that consumers look for when purchasing edibles, and at a very affordable rate. So
I love it.
it's something we're really excited about. I got to get you some of those as well. I know they're going to blow your mind. They're really, really incredible, man.
Araya is definitely going to be having me say, "Oh my, let's go." You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a good
I
time, man. All those good
love
ingredients,
it.
the flavors, man. Blackberry, citrus, man. People don't even know, man. The Pacific Northwest is my home. Is where I come from, and blackberries were a part of my life for a
There it is.
very, very big part of it. Big shout out to the brands out there like you guys, the companies out there that are putting blackberries and things, because I'm here for it, man. I will
Yeah.
not eat blackberries in real life unless it's in a pie or in some edibles because they get in my teeth. But
I love that, man.
it's crazy, man. I desserts in my feet. I love it. I love it. I love it. Big shout out to AIRO Brands. Hey, everybody, we have not done a sponsor statement this whole episode, so let me go ahead and reel it back in, man. Big shout out to my guy, Fred Barton here, Senior Director of Sales at AIRO Brands. Today's episode is brought to you guys by Seedless Media. Put seedless.media in your URL. You do not need a www or a .com. Just put seedless.media. If you are a cannabis retailer or a brand and you are trying to grow your revenues, bring in more money, honey, you need to give them a call, Mike. You know what I'm saying? They will do it. My guy, Steve, they are the most impressive group I've seen in cannabis. Now, to bring it back, Fred, this episode is all about Michigan. It's all about the North American Weed Tour. We connected because ultimately, Arrow's in a lot of places, and you guys are working with some of the best brands. And when you're reviewing and looking for the best of the best, the vape partners, the hardware partners have to be considered and are a part of that ecosystem and a part of that supply chain. More importantly, you're a part of that community. And so, because you're a person that travels and visits, and you're obviously familiar with the weed in different markets, can you please touch on your personal favorites? This is not a representative question of AIRO Brands, but will you please talk to me about some of your favorite brands and products in Michigan?
Ooh, some of my favorite brands and products. Okay. I thought you were asking my favorite market to operate in, and that was going to be tough too.
We're not going to do that. We're not playing favorites around here.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously Peachy's great, man. I personally buy a lot of their dabbable concentrates as well. Phenomenal. Um, I think Madhouse is another rosin producer that we've partnered with that's really great out there.
Nice.
Me personally, I do a decent amount of my shopping in Michigan, and I
Yeah,
always go
too
towards the
pricey.
deli style offerings, man. Deli
Okay.
style. I need to stick my nose in there, and I need to feel out if it resonates with me. I can't
I love
justify.
that.
Yeah, I can't justify. I don't care if it's cheap. Buying something based on a Mylar bag that looks cool. You
Where's the
need to
last
be
place
able
you
to.
went to where you did deli style and had a great experience?
The Bloomery, actually. And well, the most recent one, Jars in New Buffalo. They have an incredible jet deli style program out there.
Cool.
They have their different tiers. I always encourage people, ask the bud tenders, is there something on the lower tier that should be on the higher tier? Because almost always the answer is yes. And
And that's where you get the deal.
that's where you get them for sure. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a deli style guy, generally speaking. When I'm purchasing my flower, and then I always have some Arrow rosin carts on me. It's
Come
one of
on,
my
baby.
go-tos.
Arrow rosin cards,
Always.
baby. Whoo, man, big shout out to the
Always.
Peachy. I do not think people understand just how good oil is all over the place now.
For sure.
There's great oil everywhere, but people always hate on say, oh man, the oil is so much better in the trap, man. The oil is so much better in this. I would put Peachy up against anybody.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And they're,
I
you
think
know, they're
anybody would look at that
affordable.
and be happy.
It's great through and through. They got some of the best product, and at some of the best value. So when you can find them, they can be hard to find, just because there's a lot of hype around the product. But I always.
But luckily, you guys are here to help stabilize a little bit of that consistency in the
right.
market by providing it through these vapes and pods and through the 40 stores that you guys operate in. Big shout out to you, Fred, for joining me today. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to connect with you and to get to hang out and work on this project together. The North American Weed Tour, baby, 2024. This episode was all about getting to know AIRO Brands. You guys operate in, I put here on the description 25 to 27 states and territories because I don't know all the details, but it's exciting. So can you clarify real quick how many?
Yes,
And what?
25 states as well as Puerto Rico. And we also have some things rumbling overseas in Europe, Switzerland,
Okay, so I was
Germany.
right.
Can't go too in depth on that yet, but
We
people in the
got more
background are
episodes.
cooking.
The RMR exclusive will come soon, you guys. We will have more information unrolling as we come. And Fred, we also have another episode coming from Massachusetts. We'll be doing another episode for Illinois, and we're also doing an episode for Missouri. So everybody watching, you will continue getting to know AIRO Brands. Fred and I will have another conversation. Annie and I will have a conversation, and we will also have Julie repping big time Massachusetts in the house with the Massachusetts we. You know what I'm saying?
The Massachusetts. I never heard it before.
I was so excited to link with her out there and grab a hold of that good stuff there, man. I got a bunch of strains here, but you guys are going to have to watch the reviews to find out my thoughts. So, Fred, thank you again for joining. We're 110 episodes in completely. Visit seedless.media for all your marketing needs. You guys, we'll see you on the